All right, how's it going, guys? Thank you for tuning in to VR Revelations. Welcome. It is the year of our Lord 2024, July 29th. And so, Venezuela just had its elections, and President Nicolas Maduro has won once again. No surprise there, right? Of course, the West, especially the U.S., is claiming it was fraud, and they're not accepting the results, saying that Maduro pretty much cheated, right? And this is pretty hilarious, right? Not because of the riots and the protests that are taking place in Venezuela, as you know, is usually the case in pretty much all countries. But because the U.S. itself is pretty much caught up in a civil war, right, between the Republicans and the Democrats, because the Republicans are saying that the elections were stolen, that there was fraud, and Trump still hasn't conceded, right? And his followers don't believe that Joe Biden actually won legitimately, but even they can't figure that out in their own country. And yet the U.S. Still thinks that they should be calling other countries' elections fraudulent, right? So it's kind of like take out the mote that is in your eye before you reach over to your brother's eye to take out the splinter that is in his, right? That is a biblical passage. Before you start criticizing others, make sure you fix yourself first. And so this is no surprise, guys. Literally a couple of years ago, the U.S. was backing Guaido, whoever that guy's name is, that fake president, that puppet they try to install in Venezuela. They literally tried to start a civil war, a coup. And it's like, oh, we forgot about that. But anyways, the elections are fraudulent, right? Of course they're going to come out and say they're fraudulent. They literally tried to install a fake president that aligned with the U.S.'s interests, right? And even Donald Trump came out sort of lamenting that because of the conflict with Russia and stuff, they're having to buy oil from Venezuela, right? And he, in one of his speeches, he was like, oh, Venezuela, can you believe we're buying oil from them? And so this is all just so absurd. The U.S. is in no position to be claiming that the elections were fraud in Venezuela. And of course, there's people there that don't like Maduro, right? Just like there is in all of these so-called democracies. But again, how is anybody going to take the U.S. seriously with everything going on in the U.S. and with the fact that they literally tried to install a fake president in Venezuela? And so I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S., actually I would be 100% sure that the U.S. is instigating all of this going on. Let's see, based on the fact that they literally tried to impose upon Venezuelans a fake president chosen by the U.S. government, which failed epically, yeah. And so, of course, they weren't going to recognize Maduro. They'll never recognize it, right? They only recognize leaders when they align with the U.S.'s interests, right? When they bow the knee, when they sell out their country, when they allow the immoral U.S. Sodomic practices into their country. And again, not to bash on the U.S. alone, this is just politics, right? This is what has taken place throughout the course of history between empires, right? They meddle in smaller nations' politics, try to install puppet politicians. And so Maduro, of course, is resisting the U.S., has been resisting the U.S., resisted the attempted coup that was sponsored by the U.S., and so I don't really think he cares at all about what the U.S. has to say about the elections being fraudulent, especially with what's going on in the U.S. So Anyhow, let's go ahead and jump into this article here. This is from, let's see, I think this is the BBC, right? Yes, no, MSN it looks like. So it says, Venezuela's opposition says its victory is irreversible, citing 73% of vote tallies. So supposedly the opposition to Maduro saying they got like 73%. That's probably a figure that the U.S. government handed down to them. So it says Venezuela opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said on Monday the country's opposition has 73% of the voting tallies from Sunday's election, allowing it to prove election results. It says give it a victory. The National Electoral Authority has proclaimed incumbent President Nicolas Maduro the winner of the vote, giving him a third term in office and extending 25 years of Socialist Party rule. So the official government counted the tallies, and they're saying Maduro won. The opposition said they have their counts, which aren't like the official counts. They're saying they received 73% of the vote. The problem is the U.S. already attempted a coup. They attempted to install a puppet president, so Maduro can literally say, "Hello, it's the U.S. trying a coup again." So that was a huge mistake on the U.S.'s part. But independent pollsters called the results implausible, and opposition leaders and foreign observers urged the Electoral Authority to release vote tallies. Of course, these independent pollsters and opposition leaders are the U.S. pretty much. The tallies in possession of the opposition showed a total of 2.75 million votes for Maduro and 6.27 million for his rival, former diplomat Edmundo Gonzalez, Machado said. The numbers were sharply different to the 5.15 million votes the Electoral Authority said Maduro had won, compared to the 4.45 million for Gonzalez. Witnesses assigned to observe vote counts have a right to a copy of each voting machine's tally, but the opposition said overnight that some witnesses were blocked from following counts and that at other sites the tallies were not printed. Who are these witnesses? What are their ties to the U.S. is my question, right? The opposition has long warned about whether the vote would be fair, saying decisions by officials and the arrest of opposition staff were meant to create obstacles. The Electoral Authority said just after midnight Maduro had won 51% of the vote. Later it proclaimed Maduro president for 2025 to 2031, adding he had won the majority of valid votes. Governments in Washington and elsewhere cast doubt on the results and called for a full tabulation of votes. Right, under whose watchful eye? The U.S. Independent exit polls pointed to 65% support for Gonzalez and between 14 and 31 backing for Maduro. At least 2 people were killed in connection with the vote count or protest, one overnight in the border state of Táchira and another in Maracay on Monday. Protesters gathered in towns and cities across Venezuela on Monday, including near the presidential palace in Caracas. Of course, these are all the same protesters that were backing the U.S. attempted coup with Guaido. Gonzalez has repeatedly warned against bloodshed, but Maduro, who showed 2018 re-election, is considered fraudulent by the United States, who itself, 50% of the population believes the elections were fraudulent there. So pretty much everybody's claiming fraud now, right? It's like Oprah, you get one, this is fraud, that's fraud. After the U.S. did it, it's pretty much like it's what's popular right now, right? So, anyways, you can go read the rest of the article yourself. Of course, this woman is probably not even in control right now. The U.S. is probably, trying to instigate a coup already. And again, I say that because they literally tried it before and it failed. Like, they literally placed a fake president, right? That would be like, like China sponsoring, a group of people in the U.S., sending them money, trying to prop up some guy sponsored by China as the as the rightful president, and then China, using its political clout to say, yes, we recognize that man as the official president. We won't recognize, Joe Biden or Trump or Kamala or whoever wins. So that's pretty much what the U.S. tried to do with Guaido. And anyways, Maduro's going to stay in office unless the U.S. tries to assassinate him, which I'm pretty sure they have and are trying to find a way to get rid of him. Again, this is all imperialism. This is all trying to manipulate, the spheres of influence in order to align with the political interests of these empires, such as the U.S. Of course, things aren't great in Venezuela, and that's in big part because of the sanctions that the U.S. has implemented on the Venezuelans, right? So they make all of the Venezuelan people suffer. This is how they try to create pressure on the people to overthrow that president so that they can install someone that will allow the U.S. to come in and ransack the country pretty much, right, of all its natural resources. You have to understand how the U.S. operates, right? So they put a bunch of sanctions. So, Venezuela is not doing great economically. You would think if the U.S. was actually a righteous nation, they wouldn't sanction or punish all of the Venezuelan people. But then if they didn't do that, it wouldn't create unrest, right? Which is what they're trying to do in order to push their agenda. You would think that, they would express their disapproval of the government, but, they would still keep economic ties with Venezuela so that people there can have a good living. But because of these sanctions, things are tough there for a lot of people, but that is the plan of the U.S. to create unrest. Luckily for Venezuela and the government of Maduro, they have Russia as an ally and China and these other countries, so they've been able to stay afloat. But, this is what happens all over the world. It's what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Israel. You have the major, I would call them empires, right? But U.S. is the biggest one. They're the ones that love to meddle. They're the ones that are experts in this type of stuff. But they're definitely on their way down. Ever since Russia, invaded Ukraine after the U.S. was trying to get Ukraine into NATO, the whole world order has changed, and so the U.S. is still trying to stick to their old tactics here, but we can see that they are failing, right? That's not to say they can't have success, in these smaller countries, but it's becoming more and more evident. And funny enough, Elon Musk got himself involved in all of this, right? And President Maduro called Elon Musk an arch enemy because, Elon likes to pretend like he's some sort of middle guy, right? Like a moderate, like he's not, choosing sides, but he's part of the establishment. He's part of the political machine. He pretty much has no actual independent thought. He doesn't actually do some research or look into these matters, and he started opining, right? He started expressing his opinions or his thoughts on what is going on, calling the elections fraud, right? And he actually shared a video of what looked like, reports of these Maduro government officials going in and taking ballot boxes. But after some analysis, it turned out that it was a different video of guys taking some heaters, they were repairing heaters in a building or something like that. And so that's actually what they were carrying. But Elon Musk just probably looked at it and oh yes, let me share this. It's fraud, obviously. So yeah, this guy is a political shill. He has interests, right? He pretty much will do whatever the government tells him to. And so he just looks really dumb with what he's saying here. And yeah, you can see this is his X account. Again, look at the picture he's wearing. This is literally Baphomet, which I think he dressed up for Halloween or something. It's like literally Satan on his chest. So yeah, literally, look at this. He literally pinned this. It says, El burro sabe más que Maduro. The donkey knows more than Maduro. And he reposted a tweet by this other yokel here, Ian Miles Cheong. And this is a video of Maduro talking about this, how Elon Musk shared a purported video of, men going into a building taking ballot boxes. Turned out they were actually taking these air conditioning units, these heaters or whatever. And he was pretty much saying, Elon Musk is meddling in the elections of, Venezuela. He's undermining the results. Obviously, he has a lot of influence. He's the owner of X, and so most people using X are like followers of Elon. So they'll literally just, repost what Elon says, or they'll be persuaded, right, by what he's saying. So he has a lot of, social media clout, of course. And so out of nowhere, he's just like, oh, the elections are fake, fraud. Excuse me, what evidence do you have, Elon? You don't even have evidence of the fraud that supposedly took place in the United States. So what are you talking about? So yeah, this is Elon's Twitter account. He's saying the people of Venezuela want to change. He's just pretty much supporting like the U.S.-backed coup. And, Maduro's accusing him of having political interests, economic interest in Venezuela, because of its like lithium mines and all of that and whatnot. But yeah, surely for someone as big as Elon to come out and, just start calling the elections fake and Maduro a dictator, there's definitely something political going on there, right? Yeah, you don't see like Mark Zuckerberg or these other social media, giant personalities coming out and just, expressing political views in such a way without actual evidence or anything like that, knowing that, they have a lot of influence, right? Especially on people using those platforms. So, this is Fox News reporting here. It says Venezuela President Maduro challenges arch enemy Elon Musk to a fight. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, who skeptics suggest cheated his way to winning the country's presidential election on Sunday after securing over 50% of the vote, declared war on Tesla, X, and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, calling him his arch enemy. Social media creates a virtual reality. And who controls the virtual reality? Our new arch enemy, the famous Elon Musk. They quoted Maduro saying, "Do you want to fight? Let's do it, Elon Musk. I'm ready. I'm not afraid of you, Elon Musk. Let's fight wherever you want." In a video Monday, Maduro was seen holding a cell phone as he declared war on Musk, alleging Musk wants to invade Venezuela with his space rockets. Musk shared the video on his social media platform X, saying, El burro sabe más que Maduro, or the donkey knows more than Maduro. The billionaire also shared a video of people tearing down a billboard image of Maduro. Right, so he's pretty much spreading propaganda, much like, Elon's backing Trump. He's getting involved in all of these politics, and he's not well informed, right? I don't want to insult the guy. I don't hate the guy. But yes, like I said, why don't you look into matters in your own country, and then you can start telling other countries, your opinions on that. But anyways, hopefully things resolve here for the people in Venezuela. Of course, the U.S. is going to continue its meddling there, trying to overthrow Maduro. Again, just think about what's going on in Ukraine. They suspended elections there. Conscription, they're pretty much dragging men out to the front lines, not allowing them to leave the country. And, the U.S. is zippity zip about that, right? So it's all just political nonsense. as long as Maduro's there, Russia, China will continue to support them and keep them afloat. So, yes, it's pretty interesting, and that's going to be it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure you give the video a like, and make sure you subscribe for future content. God bless you all, and remember, the truth is stranger than fiction. This is VR Revelations, signing out.